Welcome to our panel discussion on the fate of artificial intelligence in the legal industry. In this engaging discourse, we delve into the transformative impact AI has exerted on the legal landscape, exploring its historical influence and its promising future role. For this, we have panelists with us. We have Mr. Vivek Sood. He is Distinguished Senior Advocate at the Supreme Court of India. And we have Mr. Nirupam Srivastava, who is Vice President at Hero Enterprise. We welcome you both. So let's together navigate the ethical concerns, human AI collaboration dynamics, and the imperative steps to harmonize human judgment with AI-driven decision making. So starting with my first question, how has artificial intelligence impacted the legal industry thus far? And what do you foresee for its future role in the field? And how the AI has impacted the law as well? Vivek Sood, sir, if you want to start with it.
First of all, I thank you for bringing me on this platform. And it will be a pleasure to share the platform with Mr. Nirupam Srivastava. In my view, the AI is beginning to impact the legal sector. And I will not call it the legal industry, the legal sector. It's a services sector. It's beginning to impact it. And the impact is fantastic. First of all, I must give a positive feedback to it. There are many people who will criticize it. We can come to the critical elements later. But the impact will revolutionize the legal sector, from the perspective of lawyers, law firms, general counsel, senior counsels, in terms of case law research, in terms of analysis of facts, and in so many ways. So definitely, in future, I see AI entering every lawyer's office. At this point of time, it is very niche. It has maybe come only to a few law firms at the top. For example, I was reading the other day that Allen and Overy, they have gotten AI to support about 3,500 lawyers who work for them. But I'm sure technology is very democratic. So I'm sure the AI industry, will want a lawyer in Ghaziabad or Hapur also to be able to use the artificial intelligence. It will make a huge impact. It will assist us all in our research, in analysis of facts, in drafting of agreements, pleadings, etc., etc. So I see a very positive role of artificial intelligence in the legal sector.
Nirupam, do you have something to add specifically on how AI will impact the law as a field, as a subject?
So again, AI will have a significant impact on the law. It will in different types of law, and I will come to them. So for example, your intellectual property laws, especially with the coming of a new type of AI, which is called generative AI, which we all commonly know as ChatGPT and ilk. So these are content creations. These are generative artificial intelligence. So they have been fed with a lot of data, and then they create content. They can create contrasts, they can create petitions, they can create research as well. So based on the data that is input into them, they can do a lot of work. So in terms of, as we all know, for example, the copyright law has transformed, from the sweat of row principle to the modicum of creativity. So now, as we go along with more generative stuff, the bar of creativity will go up. So a lot of stuff which we normally presume as copyrightable may not be so in future, especially with regard to music or with regard to the derivative works on the copyright. Same things are going to happen with the patent law, where AI-generated inventions is a question mark, and again, right now the laws, the jurisprudence is around that if it is not human, you do not get that. And I think copyright law will, in some sense, get decimated because there's a lot of push and pull between different countries. European Union is going much forward to it, whereas other countries like US and even India is much not giving that law, giving that kind of right to the content creators, because lot of content gets created without any creativity. So that's where the question will come. AI itself, as we all know, these systems are very, very powerful. So there is a lot of scope where the governments want to come in and regulate them. Whether it's so a lot of AI laws are being thought around the world. China has brought in, for example, yesterday only on the facial recognition. Same way, European Union has passed, European Parliament has passed the law regarding AI Act. So a lot of AI and a lot of countries do not want Act also because they think that it will hamper the innovation. So there's a lot of push and pull happening in the legal front. And of course, India also is one of the wants to be one of the big players in AI space. So we also have to keep a lookout for this.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it gives us a fair picture of how it will impact the legal industry as well as the law. Coming to my next question, Nirupam, as AI systems are becoming more prevalent in the legal industry, so how do you see them interacting with human professionals, and what are the implications for the workforce moving forward?
Yes, so Avani, I will start with the disclaimer that the views are my personal and not of the organization. And also, second disclaimer is that the things on this space are changing very fast. Okay, so what we thought, for example, last year was not possible is today possible. And same way, as we go along a couple of months down the line, a lot of things would be possible which we initially thought are very difficult. So when we look at AI systems in the legal industry, a bit of AI systems are already present today, as Vivekji also mentioned. For example, if you are doing a case law research and you are doing a semantic search with a particular keywords, they are of course looking at similar keywords, which is again using AI to do that search. But then there are other use cases as well. For example, in terms of contract drafting, so there are softwares in drafting and contract management. They are similarly, if you are a litigating lawyer, there are softwares available which by court, by judge, by opposing counsel will give you statistics as to what works and what does not work. So there are such softwares available today, not much in India, but around the world, in US, for example. And in one of my previous companies, I was with Nexus, we had acquired at that time a company which used to do for the IP law. So you can predict whether you will win, you have a chance to win that case, or you will not have a chance. So prediction is automatically coming. So it will actually save time of clients. It will know the law firms or the lawyer how to present the case. The judge, he would know what the judge likes to see and what does not like to see. So those kind of attributes are possible today. How this will work is all the lawyers and legal field professionals need to upgrade their skills because they will be anticipated. It will become like as equivalent as Microsoft Word software. So like all lawyers use today Word software, nobody is typing on a typewriter. Same way, in the future, most of them would be also using some form of generative AI for developing their contracts, developing their petitions and plaints. So this will be a part of the repertoire that everybody would have to learn. It's not a very difficult thing, but the challenge with our profession is that it actually flows from the judiciary. So first, somebody at the judiciary level needs to accept, and I think today we have a very progressive judiciary, especially with the Supreme Court, already saying that we should use AI to do that. So I think that, so even for judiciary, it's going to be a very welcome thing because it will help them lower the burden.
Yeah, so as you mentioned Supreme Court, Mr. Sood, do you have something to add to it? Like, have you seen the workforce moving more towards using AI technologies and system these days in Supreme Court?
No, in my understanding and observation, we are still at a very nascent stage. We are still at a stage where in some of the courts, in the Supreme Court, especially the Chief Justice's bench, at least he's now started telling all lawyers, senior counsel, irrespective of their age and generation, not to bring the physical files in the court. So, we are moving in the direction towards, digitization, which is 100%. So the next step will be the introduction of artificial intelligence, the AI. AI is, largely being used as of now for research, for very in-depth research, for mining of precedents, data, etc. I see AI for myself, in my office. I see AI to be giving me a faster, result in terms of case law research. For example, we use the SCC online, or we use the Manupatra. No, I see AI to be giving me a 10x result, at a much faster space. And we are still at a very nascent stage. It has a promising future, but it has not entered in such a big way. After all, the bar consists of, diverse lawyers. Lawyers coming from small towns, lawyers coming from all kinds of backgrounds. It's a very democratic bar, as Nirupam will agree with me. So, for this to percolate into the system will take its time. I am seeing this happen over the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
That will happen. We are still at a nascent stage. As per my experience and observation, internally in offices, especially law firms, they will adapt and adopt it much faster, and then it will find its way into the courts gradually.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for sharing that. So maybe in future we'll see much larger implications on the workforce. Mr. Sood, coming to my next question to you, are there any ethical concerns or potential pitfalls associated with implementation of AI in the legal sector specifically? And how do you think they can be mitigated?
I would definitely see some ethical issues. But, I must start with a rider. I am an old-timer. So, I have my own perspective, a very fixed mindset. So, for example, in my view, beyond beyond mining of data before, for finding case law, for finding precedents, for getting into literature. See, in a given case, there are so many angles. It's not only case law. There's a lot of science and technology. In a case of homicide, for example, you have so much of, biology and how the poison was given and the reactions. There are myriad factors in play, even in the criminal justice system. So insofar as analysis is concerned, insofar as mining of information is concerned, I see a very positive role of AI. Now, having said this, the ethical considerations are, if you try and appreciate the evidence of witnesses who step into the witness box, I will want the human element to prevail over there, because, for example, the Supreme Court has time and again said that, we don't find a single witness, who does not give a false statement or whose testimony does not have exaggerations or embellishments or falsities. So there the human element has to come, the judge is observing the demeanor of a witness, who is being cross-examined. There I think AI will not play a role. It should not play a role. There are ethical considerations. It's like, for example, the lie detector test. It has not found evidentiary value as of now. It is only an investigative tool. So I will put some Lakshman Rekha for the AI, let it not enter the subjective elements of the legal system. And, I was reading a very interesting case on BBC that some lawyer in New York is sought to be prosecuted, because he used the AI and there were some judgments or case law which were non-existent. But that's at a very rudimentary level because we are just beginning with AI. So I hope the prosecution will fail because there are no mala fides in that regard. Then you have the black box problem, as it is called, because the inability to see how, deep learning systems make their decisions. So we don't know the process. So while AI will revolutionize the legal sector, I would put a Lakshman Rekha. Beyond that, it will be ethically controversial, and we must retain the subjective elements, in a legal system, in a legal battle. I would, that's my view. I hope I'm correct. Nirupam will be able to confirm that. maybe I'm taking a bit of a conservative view regarding AI on this.
And Nirupam, do you have something to add to it? Do you still also feel that human element is still important?
Definitely, because the AI itself, as Vivek mentioned, is currently not at that stage of maturity where we can give complete decision-making authority to it. So, as he rightly mentioned, there are two, three issues. One is the black box, which he mentioned, which is basically explainability. So, with the newer systems on artificial, of course, there are many types of AI, but the newer systems of the neural networks and deep learning, unfortunately, there is a bit lag on explainability. And as you know, judicial system and the whole legal system works on reason decision. So, if there is no reason, I mean, how do you determine that the decision is right or wrong? Even though AI is doing a perfect job, but there is no explanation. So that's the question mark. So, and that's where the challenge is. And even the AI researchers are working on this space, how to add explainability to how AI is working. Because AI is doing a fabulous job, but without really explaining how. Second part is on the evidentiary part, I think Vivek mentioned, but the problem is with the deep fakes. So, since a lot of deep fake content can be created with AI tools, it will become a bit of a question mark for all of us, not just the judiciary, but even as a media organization or as a regular citizen. If we see a news or if we see a video, if we see a picture, should we believe it or not? And we will build, I think, some sort of defense against this, because I think as we all understand, even today on social media, how the stuff is fake. So we will have that issue going in. And third question, which I think which most people talk about, but nobody has real solution, is the bias. So AI work on the data that has been put into it, and everybody claims that it should be bias free. I mean, from a regulatory standpoint, and for example, European Parliament, etc. But they give no answer as to how to get the data which is bias free. And then they want, once you have taken a biased data, then they want you to correct it to make sure there is no bias. I mean, it's a bit of a not how approach, what to do, but not knowing how to do. So we have, the questions here which are a bit of an open-ended right now. I'm sure as the research happens, people will find solutions to it, and maybe AI will mature in future, where we can give much more decision-making authority to it. But right now, you would definitely like, that it being in the system role.
Thank you so much for
I
sharing.
just want to add a point. I just want to add a point here. Even in terms of precedents, case law, see, no case is an authority on facts. Whenever we cite judgments before the judge, you may have, on the legal proposition, you may apply the judgment, but on facts, there are distinguishable features. The saying is, no case is an authority on facts. So that's where the human element will come in, and that's where the Lakshman Rekha, as I call it, that will be the Lakshman Rekha of AI. And how far will it go? It's AI, in my view, it's going to be a brilliant junior, a brilliant assistant in the office. And, I'm very excited to use it, in the times to come. But beyond a certain point, I hope the human element is retained. Otherwise, we all will be out of jobs.
Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing that. I truly appreciate that how you both want the human element sustained, but are still excited about AI. So coming to my last question, starting with you, Nirupam, what steps you think should be taken to strike the right balance between the human judgment and AI-driven decision-making in legal matters? Just what we were talking about right now. Are there any steps one can take?
Sure. I think, as I mentioned earlier, that first thing is, getting to train ourselves. So fortunately, unfortunately, legal profession is an area which is always a bit of a laggard as far as technology is concerned. And probably this is the time where it changes, because again, I quote a McKinsey study and a Goldman Sachs study. So the highest amount of work which can be taken over by AI. We look at different job profiles, and each job profile has certain work which can be taken over by AI. And so in that sense, reduce that actual job requirement is of lawyers. Okay, so the lawyers are at the highest risk of being replaced by AI. And so in this scenario, so 40% is the number they quoted. 40% of the work which lawyers do today can easily and more cost effectively can be moved on to AI. So then we need to, as a lawyer, need to figure out that what is the value we are adding in the whole system, and focus on the areas where, other than AI, where we add values, which would be in terms of client counseling, client relationship, or even in terms of judiciary, if we are again leveraging AI, but again applying our own mind. So focus is again, first is get trained. So I will say that's the first element. Second is the more we play with it, the better we will become. So we will understand the pros and cons and the limitations of these systems. No system is perfect. So any AI system will not be perfect, and that's where the human need and value will come in. So if people who are listening on this call, if they have not played around with ChatGPT, it's free. You can go around at chat.openai.com. Please play around, create an account, it's free. So you will see the magical power this has. So unlike in many other technology revolutions of, say, year of AI and blockchain, where people had a lot of questions, here this time people have very less questions because technology is actually delivering on what the promise is. So here there is no if and but. We can all say, our profession will not change. We will continue doing what we are doing, but we will not realize when things change. So it's better to be ready beforehand than wait for something to happen.
Sure. Mr. Sood, do you have something to add to it?
Yes, I would agree with Nirupam. You can't stop technology. Technology is a disruptor. Technology, you cannot be stopped. So you can't really take any steps to create that right balance. I'm sure law will not be able to regulate or intervene in this. Technology will definitely sweep into the system. So we can't do much about it. So we have to adopt it. We have to adapt to it. That's my advice to all lawyers of my age, young lawyers, all lawyers. We have to adapt and adopt to it. And technology will find its way. But the human element is there in the legal system. In any contract, in any situation, in any dispute, and that human element will always remain. So as long as we can use AI effectively to assist us in the legal world, I think that's where the balance will be. And the balance will be struck on its own. I don't think any regulatory regime will be able to strike a balance, saying that, okay, you have to employ X number of lawyers if you want AI in your office. I don't think we can go back into that socialist era. So technology is here. We have to welcome it and adapt and adopt to it.
Yeah, I think it's very well said, adapt and adopt to it. So thank you so much, both of you, Mr. Vivek Sood and Nirupam, for being part of the discussion. And we hope that the video helps you understand the impact of AI on the legal industry as a whole. And thank you everyone for watching.